Actually, there are several mistakes that they make. The most prominent among them being them coming unprepared. So I'm surprised at the number of candidates I see coming unprepared for interviews, which completely gives away after a few minutes of discussion. So I think the first and foremost thing that one should avoid doing is going to an interview without being fully prepared. You need to do some homework about yourself. You need to find out more about the company and be better prepared. The other thing that they tend to do is oversell. So a lot of candidates tend to do this. You got to stay balanced through the interview, through this interaction. You don't have to oversell yourself. You tend to get conscious, and you also tend to let the interviewer get defensive when you do that. So that's something that should be avoided. And the third thing is, of course, precision. While communicating, you got to be focused and not verbose. You got to listen to the questions that the interviewer has for you and answer precisely those questions.
Again, lots of mistakes I've seen candidates make, and it's interesting how sometimes some of the best candidates come through and just goof up totally in an interview. So this is a great question to help people get across the interview stage, because unfortunately it's that half an hour which you spend with an interviewer which can make or break your career opportunity. So it's very important. I think firstly it's very important to be well prepared before going for an interview. So for example, if you're coming to a company like ours, CSC, for an interview, I would encourage the candidate to have read up a little bit about CSC. Today the web is full of information. So whichever company you're going for, find out a little more about it. Prepare yourself about the larger organization also, not just about that specific job. So if you're applying for a marketing manager, it's not enough to just know about marketing and what a marketing manager does. It's important to understand what the organization is about, and then tailor your responses based on the industry. So if you're applying to our company, which is CSC, in the IT industry, study a little about the IT industry, study a little about CSC. So the preparation is the first thing, which is very important. I find a lot of youngsters almost get arrogant about it, and they walk into this interview, thinking that the job market is so hot and I'd get picked up, which perhaps is, one of the big mistakes which some of the youngsters make. The other one would be to, play the poor me card. Okay, so this usually I've seen candidates do is, whenever there is a difficult question, you try and project that the fault is not with me, it's with everybody else. I lost my last job because the boss was bad, because this was bad, where you are bad-mouthing everything which you've done in the past. Oftentimes we need to own up our own contribution in any particular situation, and interviewers see through that. So I may go on saying that, that company was bad, the team there was bad, the manager was bad, but remember that the interviewer also understands industry. Interviewer himself or herself has perhaps worked for many years and understands some of these situations. So that part is also very important. I think it's also very important to mind your language. While today so much socio-cultural change has taken place in our society, that we are very acceptable and accepting to the kind of language which we use, the four-letter words and a little bit of slang here and there. But let's be a little more cautious when you're out there in front, because it's a professional situation. It's very important to project a professional image. The next one, again, and I'm repeating myself, is being honest. I think that's very important, of being honest about what your experience has been, the quality of your experience, the quantity of your experience. That is very, very important, because even if you do get a job based on lies, the lies is going to come up sooner or later. So these would be some of the big things I would encourage candidates to keep in mind when they go up for an interview.
Before interview, one should find out about the role, location, company, its competitors, and its business. Second, he should be honest in accepting if he doesn't understand or know the knowledge about the particular subject instead of giving a vague answer. 3, the answer should be well structured in a logical sequence rather than jumbled up with ideas and statements.
So as I would begin with saying that keeping yourself natural and being yourself and projecting the realistic accomplishments make it a successful interview. And the mistakes that most commonly get repeated are: 1, candidates sometimes have no correlation between the question asked by the interviewer to the response that is being given. That's one. And secondly, a lot of times when interviewer is interested to know what are the developmental areas in the candidate, then candidates fall short of words. That again becomes kind of a showstopper for the candidate and for the interviewer also. And thirdly, a lot of times there are a lot of bragging about what's been done in the previous experiences. Keeping it crisp in an interview keeps the interviewer's interest on, and those will be 3 of my recommendations.